5B running, STRC to everyone. And today we are here with Jillian Gilchrest. We're going to go on a run and she's going to talk about what that means, what her plans are, what her goals are. Introduce yourself to the people.
Hi everyone, I'm Jillian Gilchrest. I'm currently a state rep out of West Hartford and I'm a social worker, turned legislator.
What does it mean to be running for Congress for people who don't understand?
Sure, what it means is I'm looking to represent the people in 27 towns from Connecticut in Washington, D.C., working on policies that will improve people's lives, going out, listening and learning from folks, what they need in someone who represents them, how we can better this state, how we can better people's lives, and it's really about being your voice in Congress.
As a social worker, what are you doing with that work?
So it started when I got to college. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s with stranger danger. And so I was always horrified that sexual violence takes place. And when I got to college, I found out that there were places called sexual assault crisis centers. And so I began volunteering on the hotline and accompanying women to the hospital. And that led me to get my first job after college at the crisis center as a child advocate. And that job was really overwhelming.
Yeah.
In 1 year's time, I counseled hundreds of children who had been sexually abused in our state. And I realized I was not cut out for direct service. And so thank you to you and others who do that work. I questioned, why am I at age 22 with a BA in Women's Studies and 30 hours of crisis training, the main referral for the Department of Children and Families?
Okay.
And I was questioning how poverty was such a barrier to people accessing care, because this was Windham County, New London County, and a little bit of Tolland County. So it was a lot of rural poverty. And so that brought me to the UConn School of Social Work, where I got my master's with a focus in policy practice. And so my social work has been doing public policy work at the state capitol. So trying to change systems that negatively impact people.
Gotcha.
So did work on paid family medical leave, sexual and domestic violence, and reproductive health.
With running for Congress, how do you balance your mental health and the run? Because you're competing for something, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard you have to kind of ignore everything you probably teach your kids, which is don't worry about other people, worry about yourself.
Yeah.
So how do you balance your mental health and run for Congress and be able to give it your back?
I will own this is the highest level of anxiety I have had in a very long time. You can be going through your day and then someone you're running against does something and your whole day can shift on a dime. Having done counseling, I'm big on mental health, and so I have tools in my toolbox and I can move a muscle, change a thought, I can figure out I need a break, even if that break is 20 minutes and it's to take a dog walk, right? Or how do you just get back in alignment with what you need to be doing? And my children help quite a bit because at the end of the day, mom's running for Congress, but mom is mom.
So they humble you a little bit.
They humble me a lot, which is super helpful because they still need a ride, right? They be picked up right now, or
I do like the real life.
The bagel from Lock, Stock, Bagel. Okay, and so that helps, ground me in what actually matters. Yeah. And I think the other piece too is coming back to the why, and the why is to make a difference and make people's lives better. And so
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's funny because right now, as we're running up a hill. I like to refer to hills as life, the hard things that happen to you in life and you got to overcome those things.
Yep.
And push through. So the fact that you was able to answer that question while going up a hill is a W in my book. But with a lot of programs and youth in Hartford, a lot of the young kids in Hartford aren't just they're looking for pathways, they're looking for jobs, they're looking for opportunity, mentorship, career opportunities, pathways. There's programs that do exist. How was your approach different from theirs, if they would?
Yeah, and first want to give credit to so many of the programs I've had the opportunity to work with at the legislature for all the positive work they have been doing. I think the approach I would take is based on my experience in Connecticut. It ends up being who you know. And oftentimes a huge barrier is not having those connections. And so I think trying to build out as many partnerships as possible with so many different industries, sectors, to have people take students as an intern, as someone who shadows, volunteer. In an ideal world, it would be paid.
Yeah.
So that those connections can be built, and so that students get to experience a whole assortment of what's available. I think another big barrier for people is like, you only know what you know, and that can be very limiting. The final piece I'd look at is what are the barriers to then actually being able to participate in a program like that? Is it transportation? Is it not having the clothing? Not having the computer? Not,
Yeah.
What are these things that make you feel less than or not part of that typically wouldn't be covered? I see in many of these programs.
Like the resources.
Yeah, and like it's like, oh no, it's only funding this particular portion. And it's like, well, you're not addressing the underlying barriers why students can't participate then. And so we need to fill in those gaps so that students from Hartford can get to these opportunities.
Right.
Not feel like an other
Right.
in that setting, because that's not going to help.
That's fair.
Yeah.
What specific economic development projects do you plan to prioritize within those first 2 years? How can we say, like, this thing is working, this thing isn't working, right? So, me being from Hartford, my concern is Hartford.
Yep.
So, what would be your plan for economic development, and how can we hold, hey, Jillian Gilchrest just won senior Congress. What measures do we hold you to?
Yep. So great question. So, and I'll focus on Hartford too. So, I think I mentioned to you, I'm originally from New York, came to Connecticut for UConn, ended up in West Hartford. So Hartford's always been my city, as an adult. To me, first and foremost, which might seem odd, but is a significant investment in our public schools. Like, from my whole time in Connecticut, you hear the refrain, we moved here for the schools.
Right.
And I've always flipped that statement
Yeah.
to them, well, where'd you move from?
Right.
Or where are you not moving to?
Right.
Because of the schools.
Right.
And quite frankly, Hartford is one of the answers.
Oh, you're saying they moved to West
They
Hartford
moved to
or
West
outside of
They
Hartford?
moved to Glastonbury.
Yeah.
They moved to Bloomfield. They moved to East Hartford. Like, they're not saying the quiet part out loud, which is,
We don't want to live.
we're not living in Hartford.
Right.
And then the other part would be, because the schools aren't good?
Or because of,
Why are you?
Right.
And so I'd like to see a significant federal investment, because what we know to be true in Connecticut is our public education relies heavily on property taxes.
Right.
We know that Hartford doesn't have the property tax base to pay for their public schools.
Right.
And so, all right, that's one, right, for me. The other piece, and this is the social worker and how I work, is having community conversations sooner than later to hear from folks in Hartford what that economic development should look like. What is working? What is not working? What's worked in the past? And then, unfortunately, that money or those grants are in a web.
Right.
And so, you don't need to recreate the wheel entirely, but figuring out how best to support the community in their goals. Then to your question about metrics, I'm a planner.
Yeah.
So it is taking okay, what do we want to see change in 2 years? Backing that up and then keeping people posted via social, via community meetings, coffee shop hours,
Right.
all various ways to communicate, because people communicate in different ways of okay, we're at this point, we've accomplished this is coming then, just to show people where we're at in the process.
Okay. So obviously a lot of people in the Hartford area, unfortunately, deal with chronic stress, grief, loss. On top of a bunch of other things, you also mentioned, it's the time you spent thinking you were built for one-on-one services and things like that.
Yeah.
How do you see the focus of mental health fitting into your plan? And how would you put in and use your resources to help in Hartford, not just culturally, but just overall for people in Hartford to add value in the mental health space?
Yep. I think it's many-pronged answer. First is a long-term goal again, is getting us to universal health care, like a Medicare for all, long-term.
Right.
In the interim, it's getting profit out of healthcare. Right now it is so driven by the profit the industry can make, the insurance industry,
Right.
over people actually having access to care. And we see that in large part with mental health.
Right.
And so there have been all these bills about parity and ensuring that mental health is covered the same, but it's still not happening. And so again, need to work with colleagues to make sure people can access mental health that they need, not what insurance dictates to them. That too is important because, like, as you know, like you don't get cured.
Yeah.
Mental health is an ongoing process.
Right.
And we need people to be able to have access to that care, that ongoing.
Right.
The other side of that then is dignity for the work. We don't pay mental health care providers pretty well.
Yeah.
We pay the ones who can distribute drugs, hire,
Right.
which
Yeah.
people do need medicine. That's fine.
But across the board,
But across the board, we need to increase wages for the mental health service provider community so that it is a viable career option.
Well, so as property values rise, developments increase, how do you plan to ensure that the north end of Hartford in general doesn't get priced out? And like, what does affordable housing look like to you, right? Outside of just building more units, because more units could mean more units or more money you can't afford.
Yep.
And you see that affordable housing, but it's 40 units being built, but 3 of them are affordable housing. And then the other 37 are 1,700 for 400 square feet. Like,
Yep.
so how do you plan? We could go on this side so they can hear you a little better. How do you plan to, what does that look like to you?
Well, first off, as a policymaker, I want to change the definition of affordable housing.
Right.
And so not to be super dorky, but affordable housing, that formula it is a formula. And so that means what affordable is different in every town in Connecticut.
Right.
And then, so what's affordable in
So-
Hartford
Yeah.
is not affordable in West Hartford.
Right.
And then to your point, so you've only got 3 or 4 units of affordable housing
Right.
in West Hartford that people can't even afford.
Right.
Then the thing that blew my mind is we now have a new term called deeply affordable, because there is a recognition
Yeah.
that affordable housing isn't affordable. So if we truly want to both not price people out,
Right.
but also expand affordable housing options across the state so
Right.
people can have more freedom to choose where they want to live, we need to change that formula.
Like,
The other thing I'm looking to do in Congress is hold private equity companies accountable, because right now,
they won't like that.
nope, they won't. No, they won't. But if enough of us get elected who can partner together to push on Democratic leadership in the House and in the Senate, we can get there eventually. Because right now, a big part of the problem with the housing crisis is that you have these private equity firms buying up all the stock. And then to your point, they don't care if they price out people from
Right.
the neighborhood. They're just trying to profit.
Right.
And they actually are looking to have more wealthy people move in.
Right. Because it increases the value.
Yeah, that's what gets them their profit. So we need to regulate them, not allow them to, do what they're doing. Or if we are allowing them to do what they're doing, yeah, you've got to then invest back in the community or increase the number of these newly defined affordable. Because again, I'm not going with that
Yeah.
old definition.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's what I'd like to see.
So like, as a Hartford resident, I could speak for a lot of us, if not all of us, when we say we often feel like decisions are made about us instead of with us or for us. Like the FUBU saying for us, by us, is not the case with Congress. Can you think of a time where you were so adamant on something, which speaking with like a Hartford resident, or maybe not a Hartford resident, but somebody who was stamped and approved by us to where their opinion completely was opposite of what you thought,
Yeah.
but it was able to shift your opinion successfully and help.
Yeah. So I'll actually, my process back in the day was, as an advocate, I would try and figure out what different populations were going to be impacted by a policy, and then try and meet with as many groups as possible to share the policy I was working on, So, for example, paid family leave. And one time I went and met with this mother's group in New Haven, explained the whole policy, and their response was like, oh, okay. But they were concerned about paying the electric bill.
Yeah.
And by not paying the electric bill, that then meant kids couldn't get their homework done. That
Couldn't
meant
eat.
they could, and a light bulb went off where, okay, no, I need to show up and listen and learn.
Right.
What do you need from me
Right.
as an advocate? I don't show up and say,
This was
hey, this would be really good for you.
Right.
So fast forward, I put out a proposal to tax ammunition. It was controversial.
Right.
The goal was to generate revenue for gun violence prevention programs.
Right.
And whole group of us, big coalition, we're working on it, Hartford folks included. By year 2 or 3, I get the feedback from a well-respected, I respect him, loving man from Hartford, that we really do need money
Yeah.
for these programs.
Right.
This doesn't seem to be working.
Right.
And so he had a pitch that there was this idea to use Medicaid to cover gun violence prevention programs when practitioners arrive at the hospital
Right.
to support an individual and a family. And so we changed gears, got it passed. In a year's time, became the first state to have Medicaid cover that program.
How did that make you
Still
feel?
working to get it implemented.
Yeah. How did that make you feel though?
Amazing, because that supported the community.
Do
This
you-
is what you need from me.
Right.
I have the skills to be able to do that.
Right.
And we were able to accomplish it.
Did you find it hard, or did you find days where it was rough trying to advocate for the Hartford or North End of Hartford people of color, being a white woman? And do you feel like there was a time where like, wow, I just sound like a privileged white woman. I don't understand what's going on around me, and I need to learn as opposed to stepping in with an opinion.
Yeah, 100%. When Sandy Hook happened,
Yeah.
I was working with a student. I take students because of social work, and I was devastated by what had happened, which it was devastating.
Right.
She grew up in Hartford, and she just says kind of, yeah, I lost my brother to gun violence, and my boyfriend was shot in front of me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, huh? And again, now this was about, thank goodness, 15, 16 years ago. But
Right.
I share these things because it was a moment of,
Right.
oh my God, like the tragedy and the horror of what people are going through in Newtown is happening every single day in Hartford.
Right.
And we dismiss it.
Right.
I dismiss it.
Right.
Other people don't. I was dismissing it. And so there have been a lot of learning curves.
Right.
And when I show up in a community like North Hartford, for me, it is about listening, and it is about seeing again, what skill sets do I have where I can support.
Right.
And I've also learned I don't need to be the star of the show.
Right.
So, okay, here's what I can do to support, and then who is best to lead it.
Got you.
I work at it. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I don't think
Right.
anyone's perfect. But yes, I recognize that I show up as a privileged white woman from West Hartford.
How does it feel being a woman running for a male-dominated seat?
It is a lot. There's a lot of mind games. There's a lot of microaggressions.
And for the record, we already ran. We completed our goal. We're just getting
We're
getting
cooling
a little
down. We're
cool
cooling down.
walk. But the sweat is there. Sweat equity was put in. So I'm definitely enjoying you being able to share this space with you.
I guess so. For me, though, I am motivated by our history.
Yeah.
And there are problematic things in the women's movement,
Yeah.
in particular when it comes to race.
Yeah.
It does teach, though, a woman like myself, like change takes time, and you need to persevere and you need to push through. There's something very motivating
Right.
about being a woman pushing for this position because it is desperately needed,
Yeah.
especially at this time in our country's history.
All right. So first of all, where can they find you?
Sure, they can go to voteforjillian.com,
Yeah.
and you can also find me on social at Gilchrest.
At Gilchrest.
At Gilchrest, Jilchres.
Yeah.
A combo of Jillian and Gilchrest. That was back in the day when people were
Combined.
merging names. That shows my age. I'm a 2000s college girl.
So and what socials are you on?
I am on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and Blue Sky, and YouTube.
So you on everything, right?
I'm on everything.
All right.
Just not Twitter
Not Twitter? Well, X.
or X.
Yeah, that's what it. Yeah, nah, you're not a.
I'm boycotting.
Okay, hey, listen, I'm with that. I appreciate people who stand for what they stand
Okay.
for.
Yeah.
Anything that you think we didn't cover that you want to share?
No, I just think we have a real opportunity to elect different kind of people to Congress. I mean, this doesn't happen very often in Connecticut. This is 28 years. And so I just hope people do their research. And thank you.
If someone wants to say to me, hey, why should I vote for Gilchrest?
Yeah.
Hey, why should I vote for at Gilchrest? What would you tell them?
That I want this role to make things better for people. I want to get in there, push for positive change, and then turn around and say, who is next? Because these roles aren't meant to be forever.
When do they vote for you?
Tuesday, August 11th, or early voting starts August 3rd. And so
Okay.
you can find the info on the Secretary of State's website. Connecticut Secretary of State will tell you where.
Is there any stipulations on how they can't vote? Anything?
You have to be a registered Democrat because Connecticut's a closed primary state.
Okay.
So you can check to see if you're a Democrat on the Secretary of State's website. You can also change if you're an unaffiliated up until the day of the election.
But if you're unaffiliated, can you still vote?
Not in the primary on August 11th. You have to be a Democrat.
And that's the one that matters. The
Correct.
primary is
The primary is what matters because whoever wins that is likely to win in November. They still have to try, but it is a blue seat, and so it's the August 11th Democratic primary.
So like, that's like having a 3-1 lead in a sports series if
Yes.
you win. All right, makes sense. I mean,
Yes.
I gotta
Yeah.
put it in a language that
Yep.
that we understand. I think there's such a barrier between us, and I say us, I mean my age group,
Yeah.
and even caring about politics.
Agreed.
And I think the accessibility to politicians, you would assume that it would boost the morale and boost the interest in us wanting to vote,
Yep.
but it's worked the opposite. People always ask me, and I say, I don't with politics. But then a young lady pointed out, well, do you care about your environment in the sense of like the water,
Yeah.
the air, the litter, like
Yeah.
so many things other than the physical politician itself. I didn't even
Yep.
think of all of these things being a part of politics. So even understanding what politics is.
It's so right. It's like, what issue matters most to you?
Right.
And then a politician's the one who gets to make decisions about that.
Right.
And so you want to elect someone who's in alignment with how you feel about